Hi class, this is Mr. Patterson here with Bear to Debate, and I'm going to be doing one of those cool note card videos where it's all emotional and you drop the cards and stuff like that. Actually, I'm not. This video is about how to create a 1AR. Now, the 1AR is probably one of the most difficult speeches, arguably, in debate. I don't think so. I think it's a lot of fun, actually. It's a chance for you to essentially just get everything out there in the round as fast as possible and answer to the best of your ability. But the main goal of 1AR is that it is to answer. This is the most important piece of the 1AR. You have to answer every single question or argument brought against you in the round in this speech, especially the 2NC. The 2NC speech, you have to answer every single argument that was brought into the round from that. Your colleague should have already replied to the 1NC, and we'll be taking notes for you, which I'll get to here in a bit. So you need to make sure you reply to every single argument in the round and talk about why you're winning or where the argument stands or what your reply is to the most recent piece of that argument. So that is the goal, to answer. If you don't answer, if you drop something, the other team's going to cry. They're going to go, oh, they dropped this and there's no other chance for us to reply and it's not cool. We have no other speech after the second affirmative rebuttal, and so then we have no chance to reply to any arguments that they replied to there. So please consider this a dropped argument and a win for the negative team. Long story short, answer every question. Take notes. The 1AR needs to make sure they flow all of the arguments of the 2NC. If you do not, you are going to drop arguments. It's very, very important that you take notes. Also, the 2AR, or the second affirmative person, needs to be flowing the 1NR as you are writing replies for the 2NC. Then they will give you their notes so that you can use them for the speech and you can reply to all of the arguments that were replied to by the 1NR. So after you finish replying to all the 2NC arguments, you need to use their flow or their notes to also reply to all of the 1NR replies. And the best thing you could do is make sure you do it in order. If you have two notebooks, lay them on each other. Got this idea from Mr. Keith Miller, and just read from both as you're going. Very important. Take notes. Next piece is lump and dump. Inherency, harms, solvency. These arguments you need to lump and dump. They have 2 or 3 harms arguments. Say, judge, they had 3 harms arguments. Lump them together. I have 2 replies. I have 1 reply, and so on. Make sure that you are bringing all of these arguments together, pointing out how they are similar very briefly, and then replying to them and rebutting them. Because if you don't do it that way, it takes a long time to go through each and every line-by-line harms argument and reply. But the thing is, you have to do this for all their inherency arguments and all of their solvency arguments as well. So make sure you lump them together, all harms together, reply. The negative team had 5 inherency arguments. I have 2 replies. Then the negative team had 4 solvency arguments. Lump them together, judge. I have 2 replies. And then you're good. You don't have to worry about it. It makes it so much easier to reply to all of those arguments brought in the round. Usually there's a logical way you can lump them together anyway. So the only time I would never do this is if there's an obvious logical difference between those types of arguments. Maybe they have some logical arguments. You can lump the logical arguments together, reply to those, and then the specific cards with actual evidence. Then you can reply differently in that way. That's about the only exception to that. Otherwise, lump and dump. The next part, topicality. Whenever you reply to topicality, you need to make sure that you are cross-applying one of these, or you are crossing over or carrying over these arguments. So usually the debate's going to center around one of these areas: violation, definition, standard, or voter. So if you're debating which definition is better, you're probably actually more debating which standard is better. You may be debating about whether or not this is a voting issue. You may be debating the violation. Whichever one you're talking about, you need to say, judge, please carry over my definition, violation, and standard. We're debating about the voter right now. Reply to the voting issue, or why you think it's not a voting issue, and so on. And then move on. That way you don't have to address every single one of these. You can address that one specifically if you think that's what the debate is actually about. And that saves you a lot of time. Remember, carry the other parts of the shell. This is called the T shell right here. And if you do not carry those over, you will essentially drop them to some judges. Most judges, I mean, there's no reason why you drop it, but you get the point. Disad. It's very important that you reply to the disad. If there are any disads in the round, you need to attack at least two pieces of this. You can attack their link, which is probably the easiest and what most people do, but make sure you're also attacking the internal link or the brink, as well as the impact, or maybe the impact in the link or the internal link in the impact, whatever it might be. Make sure you're replying. Sometimes I think it's really easy to attack the brink. Sometimes they have really crazy stretches as to how this applies, and that's one of the easiest to attack as well. But remember, you must attack too. And then after that, if you have any time left, sell your case. Don't be afraid to actually talk about the positives of your case. If they have a disad and you think you can turn that into advantage, talk about how it's advantage to your case, actually. Talk about how what they're saying doesn't make sense or helps your case in some way. If you can do that, it really helps your case. Because here's the thing. If you focus on being defensive the entire time, it makes it look like you're doing that, being defensive. And if you can take the focus of really selling why this is important and talking about why, at least in our case for this year, restorative justice is important, you can really sell to the judge what the benefits are to your case. And if you're talking more about the benefits than you are about negative arguments, you have a much better chance of letting the positive stay in your judge's mind, and that's what you want. So make sure at the end of the time, sell your case. Now, to structure all of this at the end, essentially go down the flow, the way the arguments were brought in the round. The best way to do this, which most teams will do, and the negative team probably already structures it this way, is off case, on case. Simple as that. So reply to the topicality and disads, and then focus on your harms, inherency, solvency. That's it. And I hope that you have a successful 1AR.